Good afternoon, I'm Ed Pozuoli, CEO of Tripp Scott, and with us today is Asley Moody. Asley is running for the Florida Attorney General's position on the Republican side, and we have a primary coming up August 28th. Asley, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And tell me why you're running for Attorney General.
Well, I've been in the legal field and law enforcement and enforcing the rule of law my entire career. I started off as a lawyer with Holland & Knight. I did business defense work. I was a federal prosecutor in Jacksonville and Tampa, and I was a circuit court judge for over a decade. Even taught the role of Attorney General as part of a criminal procedure curriculum at Stetson University College of Law. My husband's career law enforcement, and we believe that Florida's top cop, top prosecutor needs to be somebody that has been in this world and understands the dynamics of prosecuting cases and keeping our community safe.
Okay, and let's pick up on the community safe, because you made that a centerpiece of your campaign. Keeping our community safe, and what would the role of Attorney General be in that process? Because obviously there are local police forces and sheriffs and whatnot, but what's the role of the Attorney General?
Well, as you know, Florida's Attorney General's nickname is the top cop.
Right.
The Florida Attorney General oversees statewide prosecution. The Florida Attorney General prosecutes cases throughout the state involving all kinds of crimes, even those that cross jurisdictions from one circuit to another. And so when you ask someone to take on this great responsibility, you want to make sure that it's someone that has worked with federal and state law enforcement officials and prosecutors. I'm the only one running that has ever prosecuted a case. I'm the only one running that has been in the trenches, worked with law enforcement, and understands what it takes to move the ball in some of the complex issues facing Florida today.
And then the focus on keeping our communities safe, I take it that's also in coordination with local sheriffs and local PDs as well. And I know that you've got some support from local sheriffs.
Yes, we've been endorsed by 43 sheriffs across the state of Florida. And really, these are people that understand what the battles are, what we're facing, whether that be elder abuse, the opioid epidemic, human trafficking, violent crime being on the rise in many areas of our state.
Right.
They know what they're facing, and they know what kind of leader they need in the role of top cop to help them coordinate and move the ball. And I've been very honored to have their support. I'm also the only candidate that's been endorsed by statewide law enforcement organizations, including the Police Benevolent Association and the Fraternal Order of Police. It's an honor to have that support. It's also a great responsibility to make sure that I live up to their expectations and that I'm a true partner and advocate for making sure they have the tools and resources they need, but also those same tools and resources to keep them safe.
You mentioned the opioid crisis, and obviously it's a nationwide issue, clearly. What are some of your ideas to address that in Florida? Attorney
General Pam Bondi has done an amazing job in addressing our pill mill epidemic. You know, I think when she took office, 98 of the top 100 opioid prescribing physicians were in Florida.
They used to be pretty close to
I know, I don't
here.
need to tell you. In this particular area in South Florida, it was really a hotbed of that criminal activity. She brought that down to about 2 out of 100, along with other leaders in government and law enforcement officials. And she really, their team and their efforts needs to be commended. But any time that you have success in one area, you oftentimes see a rise in other types of drugs, and we're seeing that now with heroin and fentanyl and carfentanil, and they're very deadly drugs. Our overdose rate has skyrocketed. We lose 15 people a day. My biggest fear is that people are so used to hearing about opioids and what happens as a result of their use that they're getting opioid fatigue.
Right.
And we can't remind people that this is an epidemic, really. We lose more people now to the overdose epidemic than we did at the height of the AIDS epidemic.
Right.
You know, I'm a former drug prosecutor. My husband is a DEA agent. There is no one that is more passionate and has more knowledge about how to tackle this. I am not naive enough to think that we're going to arrest our way out of this. This is also going to be an attack on education and the addiction that we find in the communities. But as many attorney generals have done, I plan to lead a statewide effort, a statewide coordinated group to attack this from a database perspective and make sure that when we do get resources, they're going in directions into projects, into initiatives that we can see a return for that money.
So you want results?
I want results. I started off when I went to school. I'm a triple gator, actually. I have a degree in accounting, a master's of accounting, and law degree. So I'm a numbers person. And I always, at anything I do, I always set off by setting standards and numbers. And I ask voters, you know, give me 4 years to make a difference. I'll show you in the numbers that I've moved the ball. I will be successful in those 4 years. And if I'm not, we can renegotiate my contract.
Got it. One of the other issues that you raised was the elder abuse, and that obviously in a state like Florida, clearly there's a sensitivity around that. And talk to me a little bit about that priority.
Well, in Florida, you know, it's been said that 1 in 10 seniors will be victimized, whether that's financially or physically. They're complicated cases. Oftentimes it involves family members. Oftentimes it involves perpetrators that don't even live in Florida as technology has evolved.
Right.
And, you know, these types of prosecutions need someone at the helm that understands how to coordinate teams, understand that sometimes victims are reluctant to be involved, and we need to make sure that we have experts on the ground, not only working with these victims, but working with law enforcement to identify when there are criminal acts. Sometimes, unfortunately, we get to a point where we think it's a civil matter and a criminal investigation is not initiated, and that's what's needed oftentimes. So I expect to use the office and the technology that's available and bring in new blood and investigators and make sure that we're combating this head on.
Great. Remind us again, primary is when?
August the 28th. I need everybody that can get out and vote to come out and vote. The Attorney General's race is such an important one that oftentimes gets overlooked with the Senate race and the gubernatorial race, but really in terms of impact on the daily lives of Floridians, the Attorney General is a very important position. And so I am asking for Floridians to trust me, give me the opportunity to do this great job, and I'll make them proud. Pam Bondi has endorsed us, as well as nearly 90% of the Republican sheriffs across the state.
So August 28th, but what's interesting about that is that you now have, not only do you have to get the August 28th votes out, but people are actually already starting to vote in the next week or two on early voting and absentees and whatnot, right?
Absolutely. The election process has changed so much in the sense that it doesn't really just come down to the one day anymore. And absentee ballots go out very, very soon, and then early voting will be a big part of it. So I ask for voters to research their candidates. I am the only one that has experience working with federal and state law enforcement officers, prosecuting difficult cases, and can truly make a difference on some of these issues we face as Floridians.
Well, Asley, thank you for joining us today. I really wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. It's good to be here.